Hi everyone. Thanks a lot for joining this session. As you see, this session is about accessing data using ProBench. In the last four sessions, we have more concentrated towards preparing questionnaire, collecting data, and all those areas. But now, in this particular session, we'll talk about how to access the data that has been collected using ProBench. What are the various ways we can access the data? One of the most important ways is data sets. The next way is the export responses, and the last way is the view responses. So there are three main ways in which you can collect the information, to access the data. I'll first go through data sets. So I'll show you how and from where you can access all this data. All the three menus that I spoke about are out here. That is like data and analysis menu inside ProBench, and you have your data sets, export responses, and view progress, which was previously view responses. So I'll tell you why we changed the name and things. And then lastly, there is also a way where the data sets can be exported to a Dropbox account directly, in a CSV format. These are all the four ways you can access data or get the data out from ProBench. Data sets. So as the name suggests, data sets is like can be we call it as data set is because it's a subset of data. If you want the data basically in a CSV or an XLS format, and also like it should only contain the data that you want, not all the data that has been collected. So we create those subsets of data, and that's the reason we call this particular menu option as data sets. So like in ProBench, you can means create any number of such data sets. Each data set can have different use, and all each data set can basically be pointing to different surveys as well. So all those things I'll kind of uh, take care in this particular training session. What is data set that you already came to know now? When we edit or create a data set, there are there are few fields that you will see when we create or edit. So I'll just take you through them. Uh, so when you create a data set, the first thing that you want is the title of the data set. So this is basically like to know what the data set would contain, like which year, etc. So that if you create those data sets every year, then you know like the differentiating factor. You can provide the description. So it can be a brief description, like why the data set was created, for what purpose it was created. So all those areas can be mentioned in the description, so that if some other manager or an administrator from your company is using, or your colleague is using the data set, they would know why this data set was generated in the first place. Because it normally like often happens like when there is a year on year survey, and most of our clients have a long term relationship with us, there are the teams change after maybe a year or a couple of years, and new team members join the team. So they are not aware of why a particular data set was created. So I think adding a description to the data set is very important when it comes to understanding the reason behind the data set. The next field is includes participants that match. Okay, so as the name suggests, you have to select basically a survey here. Okay, so it would basically include all the means the output of the data set would contain all the companies or participants uh, uh, based on the criteria that is selected here. So if I have selected SME Partners Assessment 2021. So all the participants who have participated in this particular survey would be part of the output of this data set. Okay, so like there are other ways you can filter, like you can select multiple surveys. So if you select multiple surveys, then in that case the participants from both the surveys would be part of the output of the data set. So this may be needed like when you are doing a year on year survey. So you want the data of all the years for all the companies in one data set, then you can select multiple companies, or sorry, multiple surveys, and you would get multiple line items for each of the companies for different surveys. So this basically, this particular field tells the system like which are the participants that should be included in this output. That's what it mentions. There are other two fields as well here. One is like submitted surveys only, and one is all participants. So when we selected a submitted surveys only, then only the participants who have submitted the survey that I have selected here would be part of the output. Okay, so if the participant has not submitted it, only responded to the questions but not submitted it in the final page, then they would not be included in the output if I select this box. Okay, so in case you only want the submitted users to be part of it, because submitted means that they have confirmed whatever they have entered or whatever they have responded to, and after, only after that they basically submit. So maybe if they have not submitted, the data is incomplete, and you might not want to include them in your benchmark or an assessment that you are doing. So this field is for that purpose. This is a newly added criteria, which is all participants. So in case of all participants, like none of the surveys would be selected. Uh, in this case, all the participants that are there in the system and that has some entry into the system would be part of the output. Okay, so this is mainly needed when in case you are exporting only the participant fields or the participant related data, not anything which is kind of survey specific, but only related to the participants, like their sectors, their industry. So if you want a list of all the participants with their relevant information, their market cap, etc., whatever you have kind of imported into ProBench, you want it all in as a dump, then this is the criteria to select. Okay, so this is the meaning as a, so the output is based on what you select here. So now, like the filters and the additional filters, these are something like would filter the participants even further. So say suppose if like if you select one of the surveys here, and that particular survey has about 100 participants that are selected. Out of 100, you want that some of the participants should be filtered out due to some criteria, okay, which is not direct criteria, but an indirect criteria. Then some additional criterias are mentioned here. So these are also a newly added field uh, uh, where exclude test participants. So there are often data sets, or there are often situations where uh, our test teams or testing team from your end, or you have the test companies that are there. You don't want to include all those test companies in your benchmarking output or one of the data sets output. So in that case, like previously we used to use additional filters and put the formulas, like that formula was being getting a bit cumbersome. So that's the reason what we have now done is like it's a direct tick. So this would exclude all the participants which would have like either 73-bit or test in their names, in their display names, out of this particular. So it would exclude them automatically out of the system.
Gautam,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Are you sharing any ProBench screen? Because we can see only data sets, this PDF files. Yeah.
I am already sharing the screen.
Because we can see only the data sets,
Oh,
ProBench stream. Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No problem.
Thanks for interrupting, Jyoti. All right, I'll Now are you able to see it?
Yes, yes.
All right. All right. I'll just give a bit of brief again. Like I thought I was sharing my screen, but yeah. So all the fields that I've spoke about are here. Basically, the title that I was talking about, the description I was. So this is the description field, and the change criteria field that I mentioned here. So these are the like submitted surveys only, or the surveys that you want to select, and the participants who have participated in the surveys would be participating or would be included in the output. And then like all participants means like it would not have any survey related information, but it would only have participant related information, or like sectors, industries, all those things. So this is the tick. It would automatically deselect all the rest of the fields. So yeah, this is what I have taken so far. The next is the filters that I was talking about. So any additional filters that you want to add on the participants that are already included here, then exclude test participants. So it would exclude all the participants with test in their name, or 73-bit in their name, so that, or import in their name, so that all the kind of test participants are excluded when you are benchmarking the companies or getting the data out, so that your averages or other things don't get impacted. So that is one more filter. So this is recently added. The another filter that is recently added is the submitted date. So say suppose you want to only export the data of the participants who have submitted the survey between say X and Y date, right? Between means the start date would be say somewhere in January, and then end date would be in March, uh, and rest of the participants should not be included in your output. Then you can use this submitted date criteria to include the submitted date between, or the participants who submitted between X and Y date. Okay. And there are other yeah, options as well. Like if you use equal to, then like the submitted date is equal to a particular date. You can use greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So all in all these cases, it would be related to the submitted date, so that you can only means further filter out the data sets there. The next is additional filter. Now this additional filter is like a bit of formula based thing, where you will have to add more formulas, and which is a bit more technical than the normal selection. So the formulas can be like say you want to only include certain companies with say certain display name. Okay, so the formulas would be like this. So the display name is the function, equals to, and then say 73-bit uh, test company. So this would this data set would only include the company 73-bit in its uh, in the output. Okay. The other thing that can be done using this is contains, is another function that can be used. So contains, and then if I mention like contains, and then I would say contains 73-bit uh, greater than 0. Okay, so what this would do is it would contain, I mean, include all the participants that would contain 73-bit in it. Or I can like use anything else, maybe say limited. So all the companies who have limited in their name would be included in the output. Or you can say like less than 0. If you do it less than 0, that means all the companies with limited in their name would be excluded from the output. So similarly, you can write multiple formulas, and these functions that I've mentioned here are there on the top. Like if you select this, these are a few of the functions that can be used in the filter. So mostly it's display name and things that are related to participants or related to companies. So averages and things won't be able to used in that filters, but things like which is checking the contents, or checking the name of the participant, or checking the sector in which that participant is. So all those things can be included as a part of additional filters. Okay, so these formulas would have to be added. So we are like analyzing most used formulas and kind of adding it here, so that you do not have to write formulas and be more technical. So that is kind of a bit of enhancements that we are already working on. So you will see much more things than this. Next is the tags here. So tags is as you see here, we can give different tags to the data set so that it can be used as folders, or the name of the folder. So if you tag a particular data set as say 2021, so all the data sets in 2021 can be grouped together in a single tag, and then can be accessed. So how the tags can be used is, I'll just show you. So you see, this is the list page of the data set, which I, from data analysis from your data set, we came to this list page. And in this list page, there are two views. One is the list view, which shows all the data sets, and one is the folder view. So this folder view is basically using the tags that you have entered for each of the data sets. So you can create such folders and group multiple data sets into one folder to get more accessibility. Because like if you see, there are 185 data sets here. Okay, and you cannot go and like obviously you can search, but if you don't want don't know the name, then you would at least know some related folders. So instead of going to 185 records, here you are only going to 13 records. And when I click on this one of the folders, it would show me the list of data sets within that folder. Okay, so that is done using the tags here. So I can tag this particular data set as 2016 pfm and click on update. Okay, so okay, I'll just remove this because it's giving an error. So now when I kind of refresh this page, now SME thing came into the folder view, which was about 2016 PFM. So it get into this. So basically these tags can be used for grouping the data sets that you're using. So when it is year on year, or say scoring related data sets, and responses related data sets, so you can group them as separate ones. I'll come to this point in just a bit. And the last one is like the associate reports. So there are always, like in case of grouping, or when we are using feedback reports, not all data is available in the single data set, right? You might have created multiple data sets for different purposes, and all that data is then finally used in the final feedback report. Uh, so to not basically create one single giant data set for the use in the feedback reports, we use this associated report. So anything this associated report would be automatically attached to this data set, and that would be used as a data for the feedback reports. So I'll go more into more details when we actually speak about the feedback reports in our coming up sessions. Just for now, it's about the associated report. So here you can select whichever report you want to, and there can be multiple reports as well. So there is no restriction to that, and you do not have to also worry about the report IDs. The drop down is already there with all the data sets that are there in the system. Okay. The next is like the generated or the generate new is basically this particular button here. So when you click on this button, okay, what happens is the actual data set is generated. When we say generated, all the data is kind of collected into one particular. So whatever fields that we have added, I'll come to that fields part, but whatever data is updated from the last generated to this generated, uh, all that data would be updated, and then data sets would have the latest data based on whatever whoever participants that you wanted or whatever you have filtered on the top. So all those data would be kind of collected at one place in a separate group and would be available for the downloads. Okay, so this generate is very important to have updated data whenever there is some data changes. Okay, so if there is a situation where you have downloaded the data set but uh, do not see the latest updated data, or if a company has responded to something but you don't see that response is in your data set, maybe there is a reason that you have not generated the data set. So once you generate, all the latest data would be pulled and grouped is part of this data set. Okay, so this generate is very important button here. Okay, the next line is the download of the data. So these are the various formats in which you can download the data. You get the CSV or a comma separated files. You get an XLS format, the Excel format. You get view. This is an HTML format of the data. So it would just directly open on one of the new tabs. It would show a tabular format in the data. Then there is an XML format. It has its own format, predefined format that is provided by 73-bit or by ProBench. And also there is a JSON format. So this XML and JSON formats are mostly used when you want to access the data from an external system or something, or like an API. So if you want to have that same data in an XML or a JSON format, these are the two links that you can click on, and the respective data would be downloaded. Okay, so this is what I'll just download one of the CSV files and kind of just give you an understanding of what data would be available. So currently there is only one company who has participated in SME survey, and that company is this one. So for each of the companies, there will be one row for each company. So if there are like 100 participants, there would be 100 rows in this data set. And each columns is the fields that I'll come to. So now is the time to show you the fields. So there is one more tab here, which is field details. So these are all the fields that we have added. So when we say fields, or you may say these are the columns that you want in your CSV or an XLS file. Okay, so all the data that you want out of this particular data set, you have to set those fields up here. Okay, so that you get only those fields as an output and not all the data that is collected in the system. Okay, so this is what the fields are all about, and this same fields would be available into your downloads. So the same names would be the column headings, and each of those fields would be available here. See, if I keep on adding fields, means there is no restriction to the number of fields that can be added. We have also worked on data sets with about 3,000, 4,000 fields. So it's perfectly fine to add any number of fields there. It's just that as the number of fields grows, there is a possibility that the data set would take some more time to generate, because all the data is being pulled, and if there is like more data to be pulled, it would obviously take some more time. So that's the only thing. If you add the fields or add like 2,000, 3,000 fields, then it would take some more time to generate. So that's the only thing. Any questions so far? Suyen, I think you joined late. Do you want me to repeat any part of it?
No, it's okay.
Okay. No.
I think I can see the recording later, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So the way we can add these fields, so whatever fields that you see here, so now I'll tell you how these fields can be added. So there are multiple ways these fields can be added. Some of the ways are directly possible through ProBench, where you would not have to do it yourself or manually. Some of the fields can be added like automatically using ProBench. So that is something that I'll show you. So say suppose I want to add fields from here from this particular survey into the system. So what it would do is whenever I select the survey, it would show me the complete structure of my questionnaire here. And then I can go to a particular field and try to say I want this particular field here, and I want this particular field here. Okay. Uh, uh, so this is what I can select here. So these are the two things. Then this is a newly added field which is called as formula. So we have added some predefined formulas that you can use, okay, to kind of to decide on the names of the fields. Okay, so currently, like before this was added, whatever you see here, that is radio and assessment or text explanation public, was automatically added into the data set. I'll just show you. So there is also a way to preview here. So I'll just show you here. I'll click on add selected responses. So what it would do is when it says add selected responses, it would add the fields with the responses formula. Okay, so I'll just click on this. It says all fields added successfully. So whatever fields I have added is added successfully. Now I can like go to the field details and see at the bottom. I'll see these two fields were added like this one. Okay, so because I have mentioned like if you see here, I had mentioned it as page number, group number, and selected title. So selected title is whatever field I have selected, the title of that field would be added. So that's what is added here. So the complete formula means the field name was based on the formula that was created there. And based on the formula, what happened was because I have clicked on add selected responses, the responses function was automatically added here for that particular field or for that particular question. And along with that, this is something again new that would be released tomorrow. Like if this particular question has a visibility condition on top of the question. Okay, so that there is a possibility that question is either applicable or not applicable based on the visibility or whatever other conditions are within the survey. It automatically adds an if blank function. Okay, and so if this particular field has no responses, it would or it is blank because it was not visible to the user, it automatically adds this NA. So in your output, if that particular field would be having blank or it was not uh, uh, responded due to its visibility or inapplicability of that question, the system would automatically show NA to it, in that particular field in the data set output. So like for example, if this is the response, then it would show it as NA here by default. So you do not have to write this if blank formulas by yourself. So that's the reason, like so similarly, if we would have selected the add selected scores, then like instead of NA it would have given it as 0. So for that particular field, the score would be shown as 0 in the CSV file. So so a bit of auto generated formulas that we are trying to make here. And if you see like the field has automatically had underscore response here. So if you like, if let me like go and add maybe say I'll just select these three fields and I click on add selected scores. So here, if you see this button, there are two buttons here, add selected scores as percentage. So if you want the scores as percentage, like in between 0 to 100, which Probench automatically calculates in percentages, then you click on this particular button. If you want the scores as individual points, like each question is given a point, say 5 or 10, or So if you want those hard points or whole scores to be part of the output, then you click this particular button here. So both of them would create different formulas. I'll show you the difference between them. So I'll first select this. So this fields are added. I'll again kind of go and select. So again, I'll select this and click on add selected points. Okay. So now you go and see here, these are the scores that were added here. Okay. So these are the scores added. And the formulas that you see, this score is in, this is the score in percentage. So this would return the scores in percent. And this is the like whole score. So it would return the score in points, like whatever points are assigned to that particular question, those points would be visible there. Whatever points that they have achieved. So that's what is the difference between the score and the whole score. But the whole point here I'm trying to show you is like you can select scores as percent or scores as points, and depending on whatever you basically, if you only want to have like say check boxes, so you'll only see check boxes and you select those check boxes. But also notice, like whenever I select check boxes, it still maintains the hierarchy when a formula is being created, right? It does not forget its hierarchy. Okay, whatever I have selected here. So if I go and do this, these are the check boxes. I don't see any tree here. Okay, but when it actually creates the whole scores, it would, sorry, I think this does not have. So whenever you create these whole scores, you will have this particular hierarchy in place, and it would show that particular formula. So it's like we have, uh, so creating the fields is made easier when it comes to regular formulas like responses scores and the whole scores. Uh, so what are the other fields here is like you can search the nodes by its name here. So it would like wherever the IDs are or wherever the variable names is, you can search. So all those things are possible. You can also like click on all. So what happens is if I select this, all the child nodes to the depth level is selected automatically. So all those things are possible here. If I say no, it would only select the one I have selected. If I say all, it would select all the child of that particular parent node. So these are all the things. The depth level is like by default, it would show all the nodes. But you can define like if you only want to see like if I say all, so it would only show the questions to that particular depth level. Okay, so you can like if you don't want to complicate much, then you can select the depth level and only go to that till that level basically. All right. So hopefully this helps you to kind of understand how the fields can be automatically added. The next part that I would take up here is like these functions. Okay, so in each of the fields you will see these functions added, and each fields have different functions. Like here you see averages, rounds, so all these functions. So these functions are, as I mentioned, are mentioned here under the functions tab or functions link here. And all these functions are mentioned here along with their help document, like how to use that function, each of these functions. So there are about 50 functions that are available. So if you might say functions, these are like very similar to the Excel functions that we have. And each of the Excel functions have certain parameters that you would have to add. So similarly, these functions can be used for the same purposes. So let me kind of show you some of them. So like round is one of the function, and inside round you will add another field or another function that is the average function. And you want average of which particular field. So here you have selected overall score. So this overall score is another field here. Okay, so this field names can be used as the parameters to some other functions here, so that you do not have to repeat the same formula again and again at multiple places. You can just use this overall score at every point in time, or for each of the functions under it. You just have to make sure that you are only using these fields after that field is created. You cannot use this field above this particular field. So the order has to be maintained if you are using the fields into some other field, okay, as a part of the formula. Okay, uh, now this is what, now if I want to change anything here, okay, so I can also do it here. Say I'm just giving an example. So uh, I can like just for the sake of explaining, so I can make it as this. So this would be the addition. So score of this plus score of this plus score of this would be added here and put it under overall score. So this is the kind of mathematical functions that you can do as well. You can do multiplication as well. You can like click use multiplication sign. You can use division sign as well. So all those things are very much possible. All the mathematical calculations are very much possible within the system. Okay, so that's absolutely. So once now I have made this change, I can just click on this save button here and it would save. Okay, so this particular is saved. When I want to edit again, I can click on edit, or like the other way of editing is just click on that thing and it would be converted into an editable mode. Okay, if I want to delete that particular field, I'll use this delete button here. And if I want to cancel anything that I have edited, you can just click on cancel or cross that is there. It would cancel whatever I am editing there. Okay, so this is about the mathematical function. The another set of function is the average. Okay, or maybe you can say it as uh, the aggregate functions. Okay, so there are lots of aggregate functions available as well. Like there is averages, there is ranks, there are other uh, let me show you the min max thing. Then there is like entile, quartile. So there are lots of aggregate functions that are also available in ProBench. So the aggregate functions are basically like it would average or take an aggregate uh, of a particular score for all the companies. Okay, so everything in ProBench would be done company wise. So as I said in the CSV, so if there are multiple companies, the averages of all the companies would be taken into consideration, and that's how the average would be taken care of. Now average have two parameters here. One is or average, or so to say, like any aggregate functions have two parameters. One is like of the field for which you need to or you want to aggregate. Okay, so here I am aggregating the overall score, and the second one is the group. Okay, so group is like if you want to group, or say for example you want to group by sector, or you want to average by sector, or average by region, or say average by certain like count of employees in a company, the size of the company. So any of those fields can be used as a part of group here. Okay, so that's how the group parameter works. So this sector function is at the top here. So similarly, there is also an industry. So what I can do is like instead of sector, means I can also use region, or I can use industry. Then in that case, this particular field will be like overall like industry average. Uh, so this is how you can use the aggregate functions as well. So that is what these aggregate functions are for. And you can also have combinations of two. So if you suppose want to have industry plus sector combination as a group, okay, then you can like have it have a field like this, and then use industry as your group. Then it would be a combination of those industry and sector, and you can average by industry plus sector basically. Okay, so even that way it is possible, so it's quite flexible in that sense. Okay, and this round function is like is rounding by 1. You can like change it to round by 2 or 3, whatever round, and if you don't include that last parameter, then it would by default round to 0 decimal places. So that's how the round function. So similarly, all the help of all the functions are provided here. You can go and have a look. And if you have doubts, obviously you can ask questions at a later stage. uh, any questions, anyone? All right. So the next one more last area in the data sets is the advanced editor. So this advanced editor is more like a notepad kind of an editor that you get here. So here like you can do all the bulk operations that you might want to do. Okay, like or like instead of saving one field at a time, if you want to change certain things in all the fields, or you want to create multiple fields here, or maybe like you just want to copy this couple of fields and paste it here and change their names, then you can do all those things like you do it in notepad. Or like say you want to change this all zeros to ns, then what you can do is like you copy all these things. I can take it in a notepad and say I would replace the things. And here what I'll do is I'll go and replace all these zeros, like from search and replace or something, whatever I want to use. uh, and I'll just copy again and paste it here. So all the changes would be there, and then click on update. So this way you can use the power of the editors to do some bulk operations if you want to do, and again put it here and click on update, and it would like rebuild all the formulas based on your changes. So all those things would be taken care. So this is an advanced editor. As the name suggests, if you are comfortable with formulas and writing formulas yourself, you can feel free to use the advanced editor, which is on the top right here, to make any modifications. Okay, there's one more thing. You can also like download these data sets from the list page here. Okay, the list page provides you with the information like the status. So if any data sets are under generation or is being generated, you will get it as an in progress. If there is an error in any of the data sets, you will get an error occurred here as a status. And if it is completed like it is currently, then it would show it as completed. That means it is ready for download and you can download it. You will also see the last generated there. That means the data that was entered before this particular time would be there in the data set. But if you want the latest data, so this is like on 30th of September and today is like 10th of November. So this is not the latest data. If I go edit it and generate once again, then it would get me all the latest data till 11th of November, and this particular date would change as well. So that's how the generate function is being used. So that's all about the data sets. You can also copy the data sets here. So if you want an exact replica of the data set and just want to change certain criterias for the participants, you can just click on this copy. It would create a completely new data set, change the names. Say I just want to an exact data set, but for 2022, I'll just change the name and click on update. So the whole data set is ready for me. Because the surveys were same, there was no changes. The data set is ready and click on generate. It would get the data from, obviously I'll need to change the criteria here. So instead of 2021, I might use 2022 as a survey, and it would get all the data of 2022 into this particular data set. So yeah, year on year changes are quite easier if your surveys are not changed much. So like this is all about the data sets I wanted to take up. Any questions? All right. The next part to access the data is the export responses. Okay, so when I click on export responses, it would take me to this particular screen. Now, as the name suggests, it is export responses. So it would export everything that is collected from within ProBench. Okay, so there is no selection criteria as to kind of if I want a particular question or a particular indicator or not within the export. It would export everything. There are few and very few criterias at kind of sub participant level or some columns that can be ignored. So I'll just take you through each of those things. Sorry. So the submission from date. So when you select the dates here, what it would do is it would get all the data, or it would export all the data uh, which was submitted between this and this date. Okay, and when we say submitted, it is the companies who have submitted. Okay, it doesn't mean that the if a particular response was given on a particular date, it would take the response date. It is not the responses date, it is the submission date of the company. So whenever the company has submitted, only those companies or participants are taken into consideration in the export function. So if the company has submitted, say, like between 1st of October to 10th of November, then this is the submission dates that I'll use. So it would only include the companies that have submitted in this particular date range. Okay, so it is about the participants that are included in the export. It is not about when the data was entered, okay, or when the responses were entered. So that is about this particular thing. And there are, like, for few of our clients are using disclosures, like for each of the indicators, whether this means that is to be disclosed publicly, or particular indicator can be disclosed publicly or privately. So that selection is possible. So if you want to only have the data which is disclosed publicly or which is disclosed privately, you can select the disclosures from here. Then only those data would be visible which is disclosed, whatever the disclosure condition that you have used. Okay, the next is like exclude blank columns. Okay, so when it says exclude blank columns, that means it would exclude all the columns like groups, sections, rows, which does not store any responses. Okay, responses are normally stored in single select questions like checkboxes, radios, or text questions where there are text areas or text 500, date fields or year fields. Those are the columns that normally have the data. But columns like groups, sections, rows, tables, that does not normally store any data. So if you want to exclude them completely from your output, then you can like select this and it would be excluded. So all the those parts. So here it is mentioned like this. These are all the columns that would not be available in the output. So just to make the bigger file a bit less cumbersome, because anyways the export would be huge based on how big your survey is. So that helps to reduce a bit of clumsiness. Then there is like use default max character limit. So in this case, like, this is why this is needed is like Excel has basically limitation on the number of characters that can be included. Okay, so if the response of a particular indicator is too huge, then it would kind of spill over to the other rows. That is what we have observed. So that's the reason, like, if you select this, it would like cut anything greater than 32,000 characters, and it would only include the response till the 32,000 characters in the place. Okay, and rest of the things would be removed automatically or truncated, so to say. But that would be only truncated when it comes to the output of it. It would not be truncated from the actual data that is stored in the system. So you do not have to worry while using this particular checkbox here. The next is show question types. So I'll just see if I can like, let's not use this. I don't know, to get the response. So if I don't select the dates, submission dates, it would go give me data of all the companies participated in TNP. So right. So currently there is no data. You will see everything as blank because I have not uh, filled a lot of data here. But this is what the fourth row. This shows what type of question that is, right? So for you to understand whether that was a choice or a radio, for any reasons, if you want to know like what type of question that was, then that this particular checkbox would show that particular row. If you don't want to know what type of question it was, you can like just untick it and it would not be included in your output. So this fourth row that you see here would not be included in your output if you untick that particular box there or checkbox there. Okay. And like this is another very important fields here, like export uh, only valid or applicable responses. So there might be like, if your survey has lot of conditions, okay, so there might be visibility, non-visibility thing. So so suppose in one of the cases, companies went into your survey, responded to certain questions, okay, and then later they decided that I don't want to select one of the options, okay. So they changed that option, and due to that change in options, two or three questions got inapplicable for them because they have changed certain gateway question, okay. So uh, but the system would still have those non-applicable questions stored within it, because there might be need, like if they again change the option, you might again need those things, or user would again have to fill it. So we store those responses as well, but those options are invalidated in the background using the status that we have. We call it as status, okay. So when you select this particular option and get your responses, in that case all those invalidated responses would not be kind of exported along with your export file, okay. So all those non-applicable answers that they have given due to various reasons would not be included in your export. But suppose there is for any reason, or there is a circumstance where you want all those and invalidated responses as well, like for whatever reasons, okay, then in that case you can click on export all responses, okay. So it might it would include all the responses that were invalidated or validated, whatever it may be. It would export everything. So there are situations in the past where our clients have asked for this, and that's the reason that particular box is there. It depends whether you want to use it or not. It's completely up to you. But yeah, after clicking on get responses, all these filters are taken into consideration, and then a file is exported in a CSV or an XLS format. So like if you see the difference between the data sets and the export responses, the major difference is data sets are kind of filtered thing, wherein you can only have the fields or columns that you want for your analysis, and export responses is kind of a complete data dump that you might need for some reasons, and that's the main difference between export responses and the data sets. Okay, any questions so far in this? All right, so I'll move forward. The next is the view progress, which was previously called as view responses. I'll tell you what the reason we changed it to view progress. So when you click on view progress, you will have to kind of select one of the surveys here. So you will kind of get the progress. So whatever participants are part of the survey, that survey is have to be selected here, and you will see. So previously, when you used to click view responses, there were two screens. One screen where you would see the list of surveys, and then on click of further, it would take you to this particular page of showing the responses, or showing the progress. But we have removed that one additional screen and added a drop down here, which would make your life a bit easier instead of having multiple clicks there. So this would show you the progress, like what is the progress of this participant for filling up this survey. What's the score, the default score. This is not the final score, but default score that Probench calculates, their submission status, etc. I have already explained this in one of our previous training sessions, so I'll not go deep again into that. But when we say view responses, if I want to see whatever responses that are given by this particular companies, then I can click on this eye icon here. Okay, when I click here, it would take me to a screen where I can see all the questions in the survey along with its scores for each of the questions. So you can see like question 1.1 has a score of 0. So similarly, you will have like the submission question has a score of 100. Depending on wherever you have assigned the scores, you will see the scores. And you will also see what response was selected for a particular, let me kind of find a better example here. Yeah, so this is a better example. So here you will see like this particular question has got 50%. What was the response that was selected, because it is a radio question, I guess. So this was selected, or whatever response that was added, who has added that responses, when it was added, and the scores based on which it was calculated. So a complete response of a particular company. So here, if you see on the top, you can see like 73-bit test companies entry for this particular survey. So a complete entry is available here, and you would also get the scores along with it. So whenever you want to see what was entered in one particular screen, instead of going to the front end and seeing what are the responses to each of the questions, you can use this particular screen to kind of get a gauge, or review whatever entries that has been done by the users. So this view responses, I'll just repeat again. You go to view progress page, and from the view progress page, you can select one of the companies, the eye icon, and it will take you to that particular page. Now here there are also like various things. Again, the depth comes into picture. Like if you only want to see till on the top, like at the section level, so it would only show you the section level scores. So you can reduce the depth. You can reduce the depth to 1. So it would directly show you to till the section level. Then as you keep on increasing the depth level, it would keep on increasing the number of questions under it. If probably that would help you to further analyze the scores that are assigned, or whatever analysis that you are doing. So that would basically help you. Here you will see like if you want to exclude the sections and only want to include the pages, or the questions, then like if I do this, then it will completely remove everything, because everything is a question here. There's no section. So this is what can be used here. So like hopefully this, and if you want to see only scored responses, then if you click on that, you will only see the questions that are scored, and it would hide the questions that are not scored. So even that is helpful to some extent. So there are various filters available on this particular screen. Any questions on this particular screen?
Maybe just one question, Gautam. So
Sure.
I'm not seeing the option yet. So is it something that you are developing, or?
Yeah, so you would be seeing view responses here instead of view progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you able to see view progress?
Mhm.
Sorry, view
View
responses.
responses, yes.
Yeah. So that name has changed from view responses to view progress. So from
Okay.
tomorrow we have a release. It would be changed from view responses to view progress now. Okay.
Okay, great.
So currently, if you want to use, you can go to view responses and you will see the same screens there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. The next and the final thing is the export data sets. So this is like another recently added feature. Like currently, like let me try to. Let me. All right. So I'll take you through this particular functionality, that is export data sets. As I said earlier, like if you want some of your data sets to be kind of generated at regular intervals, and then you want to, after the generation, you want to dump the output of that data set into your Dropbox account. Okay. Then this is the functionality. What would happen is like you can select whatever data set you want to kind of generate. So currently it's like only one option available, like every Sunday 2 a.m. This data set would get generated in the background. Uh, uh, CSV format of that particular generated data set would be exported to your Dropbox account. Okay. For this to work correctly, you will have to provide us with the Dropbox account details that you might have. Once that account is set up in ProBench, okay, you can set any number of such, like I can click on add export. So you'll see, are you sure you want to export this data set, and click on OK. Okay. So this would run on every Sunday. And like you can add any number of such data sets here and click on export. So there is no limit to the number of data sets that can be exported. So this way you can, like, for whatever further analysis, like in case of Global Child Forum, they are using it for their CRM system. So all the data sets are generated every Sunday and latest scores are updated in their CRM system. So they have a pipeline built for them. So similarly, it can be used by you as well for various purposes. So uh, feel free to let us know if you have any Dropbox account. So for now, only Dropbox is supported. But if you want some other integration as well, then we can like do that necessary development and provide you with that functionality as well. So we have kept it simple at this point. We have not gone deep into all the different cloud services. So that's how it is. So like this is, I think, can be used if you are regularly using a CSV file. You don't want to worry about when the CSV file was generated or go in and generate the file. So in those things, I think you can use this particular functionality. So it would export, it is known as export data sets. Any questions with export data sets? Any question about anything that we have covered today? Because I think I've already covered the way you can kind of export all the data or access the data out of ProBench. Anything that you would like to like me to show in your data sets on a particular field or formula? I'm happy to help you there. Any ideas that you would like to share that improvement should be done in ProBench that can help you?
How about batch runs?
Sorry.
How about batch runs for data sets instead of me going in to run, waiting for the first data set to run and then the next data set to run and then the third one, can I set it as a batch?
So you want to run all the data set in bulk, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in case of, yeah, I think that is there. Sorry. Yeah. So once you add an associated report and click on update, okay, you would see one more button here, which is called generate with associated report. The only problem with this particular button is like it would work fine if you have a couple of associated reports. Okay. But but it does not work fine when it comes to like 4, 5, 6 associated reports, because or to be precise, it would not work fine when you want to generate the data sets in a particular sequence. Okay, so multiple bulk generation is possible, but it's not possible in sequence yet. So that is something that is already there in our roadmap. So you will soon see some updates on that particular area. But yeah, so that feature is there, but it is like partly usable, or maybe it's usable only in case of 2 or 3 data sets in one go. But it's not possible for if there are too many data sets and you want to run in a particular sequence there.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I kind of get where you're coming from. So obviously that sequencing is something that we need to work on. So yeah, that's part of our roadmap going forward. Any other questions?
I just put one in the chat, but yeah, for us,
Sure.
it's exporting to OneDrive would be really good.
Right.
Because basically we also use the data sets from ProBench to generate dashboards via Power BI for Microsoft. So if we can replace the data sets more easily, basically it's less manual work for us.
Got it. Got it. Sure. We can definitely have a chat about this. Got it completely. Got that point. And like as we are talking about Power BI, like one of the things that we are going to take in our upcoming sprint is like we are going to add one more option here for a Power BI format, basically. So that would be a JSON format, and for this data set, means whatever data sets there, so that JSON can be imported into Power BI to kind of get it in a tabular format that Power BI supports. So that is one thing that we are going to work on in the upcoming sprint. So yeah. But yeah, I got your point. As I said, we can like talk about that. We'll need to develop, because the technology that OneDrive uses and the Dropbox uses might differ. So we'll need to see how we can integrate that.
Would you be thinking about the responses download so that we can into that Power BI format? This is the dataset download, and you were saying you're going to add option for Power BI, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
But how about for the whole responses?
I think if we are able to crack it here, probably we might be easily able to crack it there as well. So definitely I'll kind of note it down. That's a good suggestion there. So we'll definitely, but I'm not sure, like just to understand, like the responses that are kind of exported in the export responses, uh, even those regular text responses would be useful for you in to have it in Power BI format?
We are still exploring Power BI, and we have so many columns in our
Okay.
responses
Okay.
download, right? I was just wondering how, you know.
Sure, I mean definitely. So if like as I said, if we crack it here, probably that would be like equally useful there as well. So I'll definitely take care there when we are kind of scheduling that particular thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting one if you use filters and slicers. So you can go in, for instance, we work with categories and we can then move into a specific indicator, although it's very detailed, but then for a company get the specific written input. So yeah, it's with filters and slicers, it becomes interesting. Otherwise, it's just a table. But yeah, there's quite interesting options.
Okay. So you mean options for slicing and filtering should be there in ProBench, or are you talking about it's already there in Power BI and we can use it, or like
Yeah,
sorry if
more
I
in Power BI with them. So
right.
you keep everything as structured and as possible in yeah, as it is right now
Got it. Right.
in ProBench, and then you. But yeah, again, it works well if you use interactive dashboards. If you want to create just reports, then it's really hard to read text on Power
Right.
BI.
Got it. Got it. Sure. So we are going to run a pilot version of it first. We'll see like with the base changes or very little changes, how much we can achieve out of it. And then we'll take some feedbacks from you all to improve that particular option even further. So that's how we'll go in a phase-wise manner. Obviously when we'll release that, we'll contact you guys to kind of get more feedback and how much of things are helpful. But yeah, definitely that's one of our main aims to do. Because we have recently in our interactions with all of you, we have come to understand one thing is like data out of ProBench is in a very raw format, and it has to be kind of to get value out of that data, you obviously have to use some business analysis tool or business intelligence tool who can get more kind of meaning for that data. And that's the reason we are moving towards that, so that we can make data out of ProBench more compatible with such BI tools, so that you can directly use and utilize the data. So your data is not wastage, or also you do not have to kind of manually work through the data to put it in a specific format. So that's what our aim is. So yeah. Anything else that you would like to share? All right. Fine. I think that was very helpful suggestions. And thank you so much for attending. Any questions like I've already shared the details of the playlist that we have on our 73-bit channel for the trainings that I've recorded and uploaded. Feel free to ask questions as comments to those YouTube videos. It's absolutely fine. I'll try to respond to whenever you have added the questions. Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.